You won't believe what this single mother did to her twin girls because no man wants to marry her. Nora was the kind of girl people couldn't help but notice. Her radiant smile and kind nature made her the pride of her village. At just 19 years old, many suitors were lining up to ask for her hand in marriage, but life wasn't as easy as it seemed. Her family had struggled financially since her father passed away. After finishing secondary school, there wasn't enough money to send Nora to the university. Her mother, determined to give her a skill, enrolled her in a sewing school. Nora was excited to learn and dreamt of becoming a top tailor one day. One sunny morning, as Nora got ready to head to her sewing class, she felt a strange dizziness. She grabbed the edge of a chair to steady herself. Suddenly, a wave of nausea hit her, and she rushed outside to vomit. Her mother, watching from the corner of the room, looked concerned. Without wasting time, her mother led her to the nearby pharmacy. The small room smelled of medicine and herbs, and the pharmacist, an older man with kind eyes, asked her a few questions. After a quick test, his words hit them like thunder. "She's 3 months pregnant." Nora froze. Her heart pounded as her mother gasped, covering her mouth in disbelief. Without a word, her mother turned and stormed out of the pharmacy, leaving Nora behind. Tears filled Nora's eyes as she followed her mother back home. When Nora reached their small compound, she saw her belongings packed and placed outside the door. Her heart sank. Her mother stood in the doorway, her arms crossed and her face cold. "Take your things and leave my house," her mother said firmly. "Mama, please. I didn't mean for this to happen," Nora cried, falling to her knees. Her mother shook her head. "I am a devoted Christian. I can't bear the shame of having a pregnant daughter under my roof. You have brought disgrace to this family." Nora begged, sobbing uncontrollably, but her mother wouldn't budge. She shut the door, leaving Nora outside. Nora sat by the gate, clutching her bag and crying. As night fell, the stars glittered above, mocking her pain with their brightness. Morning came slowly, and with it a glimmer of hope. Nora picked up her phone, her hands trembling, and called her best friend, Joy, who lived in the city. "Joy, please, I have nowhere else to go," Nora whispered, her voice breaking. "Come to me," Joy said without hesitation. Nora gathered her things and left the village. Her heart was heavy, but determined to find a way forward. The bus ride to the city was long, and the landscape seemed to blur as she stared out of the window, lost in thought. When she arrived, Joy welcomed her with open arms. Joy sat across from Nora, her eyes filled with worry. "Nora, who is responsible for the pregnancy?" she asked softly, her voice trembling with both curiosity and concern. Nora wiped her teary eyes and whispered, "It's Emmanuel. It only happened once." "I didn't know I was pregnant." She paused, looking down at her trembling hands. "I haven't spoken to him in 2 months. The last time he called, he said he was leaving the country and would call me when he settled, but he never did." Her voice cracked, and she looked up at Joy with desperation. "He's my first, Joy. I love him, but now I'm finished. What am I going to do?" Joy reached out, holding Nora's hand tightly. "Don't worry, Nora. I'm here for you," she said firmly. "We'll figure this out together. My parents send me money for school upkeep, but it's not a lot. We'll have to be careful. And I think you'll need to start a small business. That way, we can at least have enough to feed you until you give birth." Nora nodded slowly. Her heart was heavy, but grateful for Joy's support. "A business?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes," Joy said, her eyes lighting up with determination. "Something small but profitable. We can't just sit here doing nothing." After a few days of brainstorming, Nora decided to start an online thrift business. "I'll sell clothes," she told Joy one morning. "People love thrifted items, and I know where to find good ones at Bogan Market." Bogan Market was bustling with energy. Vendors called out, showing off their colorful wares. Nora carefully selected beautiful clothes. At home, she cleaned and ironed the clothes, snapping pictures with Joy's phone. The bright sunlight streaming through the window made the outfits look even better. She uploaded the photos online, writing catchy captions to attract buyers. To her surprise, people started buying, orders came in quickly, and her little business began to grow. Nora couldn't believe it. The first time she held the money she earned, she cried tears of relief. 9 months after her pregnancy journey began, Nora went into labor. She gave birth to not one but 2 beautiful baby girls. She named them Laura and Clara, their names bringing a soft smile to her tired face. Holding them for the first time, Nora felt a love so deep it made her forget the pain of the past. The early months were hard, but Nora didn't give up. She worked tirelessly on her thrift business. The business grew quickly, and soon she could afford to move into a bigger apartment. It wasn't a mansion, but it was comfortable, with enough space for her and the twins to thrive. With her business stable, Nora decided to pursue her dream of becoming a fashion designer. She enrolled in a fashion school and hired a kind older woman to help care for Laura and Clara during the day. Life was busy, but for the first time in years, Nora felt hope blooming in her heart. Nora began to look like her old self again. Her skin glowed, her hair was always neatly styled, and her sense of fashion was impeccable. People couldn't believe she was a mother of 2. "You look amazing," Joy often teased her. "No one would guess you have twin girls at home." One sunny afternoon, Nora stood at the roadside waiting for a cab to take her home. A sleek car pulled over, and a handsome man rolled down the window. "Hi, I'm Luke," he said with a charming smile. "It looks like you've been waiting for a while. Can I give you a ride?" Nora hesitated, but something about his kind eyes made her agree. That ride marked the beginning of their friendship. Luke and Nora started talking regularly. He called her often, asking about her day and checking if she needed anything. Every other week, he took her out on dates, treating her like a queen. He bought her thoughtful gifts, a necklace with her name on it, a beautiful dress, and even flowers delivered to her doorstep. Luke made Nora feel special in a way she hadn't felt in years. With him, she laughed easily and forgot the struggles of being a single mother. One evening, during a candlelit dinner at a cozy restaurant, Luke held her hand across the table. "Nora," he began softly, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've been friends for weeks, and I want to take this to another level. I've fallen in love with you. Will you be my girlfriend?" Nora's heart fluttered. She loved Luke too, but deep down, she knew she couldn't keep her truth from him. Taking a deep breath, she smiled and said, "Luke, I have feelings for you too, but before we take this step, there's something you need to know." Luke tilted his head, his smile fading slightly. "What is it?" he asked. "I'm a single mother," she said softly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Luke's face changed immediately. The warmth in his eyes disappeared, replaced by something distant and cold. "I guess this is why you've never let me inside your house," he said, his tone sharp. "I'm sorry, Nora. I can't date or marry a single mother." He stood up abruptly, placed some cash on the table for their dinner, and walked out without looking back. Nora sat there stunned. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she refused to cry in public. Slowly, she wiped her tears and whispered to herself, "It's okay, Nora. You've survived worse." But deep down, it wasn't okay. This wasn't the first or even the second time this had happened. For 3 years, every time a man found out she was a single mother, they left. The rejection cut deep, making her question if she would ever find someone who could love her and her girls. Months later, Nora's life seemed to take a new turn. She had graduated from fashion school and landed a job at one of the most popular men's fashion houses in the country. The studio was always buzzing with high-profile clients. One bright afternoon, as she was busy stitching a suit, the studio door opened, and in walked Mr. Frank, tall, handsome, and dressed in an expensive suit. He was one of the most sought-after bachelors in the country. His family was wealthy and influential, and everywhere he went, heads turned. Nora was assigned to take his measurements for a custom suit. As she worked, bending slightly to measure his waist, she noticed he kept smiling and staring at her. "You're very good at what you do," he said with a charming voice. Thank you, sir, Nora replied, trying to stay professional but feeling her cheeks flush. Before leaving, Mr. Frank handed Nora his business card. Call me sometime, he said with a wink. Their friendship grew quickly. Weeks later, Frank confessed his feelings. Nora, I've met many women but none like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Nora hesitated, the thought of Laura and Clara tugging at her mind, but Frank's kind eyes and gentle words melted her doubts. Yes, she finally said, smiling shyly. Frank treated Nora like royalty. He showered her with gifts, took her shopping in high-end stores, and even flew her abroad for holidays. They quickly became the perfect couple admired by everyone. Nora found herself happier than she'd been in years, but beneath her happiness was a secret she couldn't share, her twin daughters. As her relationship with Frank deepened, Nora started to feel ashamed of her past. She began distancing herself from Laura and Clara. Mommy, let's play, Laura would say, tugging at her dress. Not now, Nora snapped, pushing her away. The girls noticed the change. Their once loving mother was now cold and distant. Nora even avoided spending time with them. One evening, Nora was on the phone with Frank, laughing at one of his jokes, when Laura and Clara burst into her room giggling. Mommy, we're hungry. Can we have noodles? Frank's voice cut through the line. Babe, who's that? Did I just hear someone call you mommy? Panic set in. Nora quickly hung up the call, her heart pounding. She turned to the girls, her face filled with anger. What did I tell you about coming into my room? She shouted. But we're hungry, Mommy, Clara said softly, her eyes filling with tears. Nora slapped Clara and yelled, Kneel down. Hold your ears. The girls knelt, trembling as tears streamed down their faces. From today, my room is out of bounds. Don't you ever step in here again. Do you hear me? Nora screamed. Now get out, you unfortunate kids. The girls ran out of the room sobbing. Nora picked up her phone, her hands shaking, and called Frank back. Hi, babe. I'm so sorry for hanging up. I was cooking, and I almost forgot the food on the stove. It's burnt now, she said, forcing a laugh. Frank sounded unconvinced. But I heard someone call you mommy, he said, his voice curious. Nora laughed nervously. Oh, that? It was the television. I'm watching a movie, she lied. I'm alone at home. Frank seemed satisfied. Okay then, he said, his voice light again. They continued chatting and laughing as if nothing had happened.